There was screaming in the woods behind our house last night. I wish that were the most disturbing thing that happened. The first scream was short, sharp, like someone stepped on glass. The second came 30 seconds later, and it didn't sound human. Not quite. We live far from town, past the bend where the streetlights stop. That kind of scream doesn't get answered out here. Mallory slept through it, of course. She always does. Or pretends to. I lay next to her with my eyes wide open, staring at the faint green glow of the baby monitor on her nightstand. Empty crib. Unused. A constant, silent reminder. She says she needs it nearby to get used to the idea. That's funny, considering she never asked me how I felt about the idea. She's 18 weeks along now. Shows just enough to attract compliments at the grocery store. People say things like glowing and radiant, and she eats it up like dessert. They don't know. Of course they don't. They think we're happy. They don't hear her whisper someone else's name in her sleep. I do. She talks in her dreams. Not often, just when she's exhausted, which is most nights now. She'll murmur something like, "Wait, stop, don't, not here," or "He doesn't know yet." Once she said, "Tell him it's his." I've been pretending to sleep through it. But last night, I started recording. I don't know what I expected to catch. Maybe nothing. Maybe proof. Maybe I just needed to hear it outside my own head. I pressed play this morning while she was in the shower. What I heard made my skin cold. She wasn't dreaming. She was confessing. Not to me. To him. To whoever he is. I didn't mean for this to happen. He thinks the baby is his. I'll fix it before it's too late. Then the water shut off. I paused the recording. My hands were shaking. The room suddenly smelled like her shampoo and lies. She stepped out of the bathroom in a towel, smiling like the past year hadn't been one long, slow betrayal. I smiled back. That's what you do when you're playing the long game. I think she suspects something's changed. I can feel it in the way she watches me. But it's too late now. Because the screaming in the woods? It wasn't just some animal. It was the sound of something breaking loose. And what's coming next? She'll never be ready for it. This morning, I found the back door open. Not wide, just enough to notice. Just enough to wonder. I always lock it at night. I check all the doors before bed. It's part of the routine, like brushing my teeth or pretending I don't hear her phone vibrate under her pillow after midnight. She thinks I don't notice how she sleeps with it clutched in her palm, screen tilted away from me like it's sacred. But the door, that was new. Mallory was still asleep when I saw it. Her breathing was soft, shallow, rhythmic. I stood there staring at the door, still in my socks, the cold from outside creeping in like a whisper. My first thought wasn't someone broke in. It was someone left. And I don't mean me. I walked outside, scanning the yard. The grass was wet. The air was thick with humidity and silence. I circled around to the side fence, the one Jonah built. Yeah, that Jonah. I hadn't said his name out loud yet, not even in my head until now. It felt like naming a ghost. He hasn't been around in weeks. Ever since that strange Sunday evening when he dropped off a box of old tools she said she'd borrowed. I never saw what was inside. She made sure of that. She met him at the door with her hair still wet and no bra on. Told me to stay inside. She'd be right back. They talked for 6 minutes. I timed it. 6 minutes of hushed voices, awkward laughter, and body language she never uses with me anymore. I asked her afterward what they talked about. She smiled. Said, "You wouldn't get it. It's a Gen Z thing." I'm 38, not 80. Anyway, Jonah disappeared after that. Poof. Like he was never real. But last night, I swear I heard a car engine idling on our street. Around 2 a.m. Quiet. Too quiet. I didn't get up to check. I just lay there, listening. Listening for doors. For footsteps. For breathing that didn't sound like mine. Now the door is open. And the baby monitor glitched. That's the other thing. It crackled around 3 a.m. Just for a second. Like someone walked past it. Like movement. But the crib's still empty. The nursery still untouched except for a folded blanket and a bookshelf filled with unread parenting books. I walked in there after she left for yoga. The sunlight filtered through the curtains in thin lines like prison bars. The mobile above the crib was slowly spinning, even though no windows were open. No air was moving. Then I noticed something on the dresser. A piece of paper, folded twice. Not my handwriting. Inside was a phone number with no name. And a message. Ask her who really picked the nursery colors. I sat down on the edge of the crib and read it 5 more times. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I just felt, confirmed, like someone, somewhere, had seen what I saw and decided I wasn't crazy after all. But now I had to act. Not lash out. Not confront. No. Something quieter. More precise. Because this isn't just about her cheating anymore. This is about someone coming in and carving up the future I thought was mine, and replacing it with a lie that kicks inside her belly every time she smiles at me like nothing happened. So I took the note, burned it in the sink. Then I called the number, and the man who answered said my name before I even spoke. He said my name before I even had a chance to clear my throat. Daryl. The voice said, calm, certain, practiced. I didn't say anything at first. I just sat there in the kitchen, staring at the stove where the burner still glowed faintly red. The same burner where I'd burned the note minutes earlier. My phone felt like it weighed 10 pounds in my hand. Still there? He asked, like we were old friends. I finally managed. Who is this? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he said, you found the paper. That's good. She's sloppy when she's comfortable. It was like being pulled underwater. There was this buzzing in my ears, this slow echo of my own blood moving around a question I didn't know how to ask. What do you want? I asked, keeping my voice low even though I was alone in the house. The walls felt thinner than usual. He laughed. Not a loud or cruel laugh, but the kind that people make when they know something you don't, something important. I don't want anything. I already took what I wanted. Now I'm just making sure you see it for what it is. Who are you? I repeated. He sighed. She called me Archer. That's not my real name, obviously, but it's what she whispered when you were asleep across the hall. I stood up too fast and knocked the kitchen chair over. It hit the floor with a wooden slap that seemed to wake up the entire house. I stood there, trembling, staring at the front door like I expected someone to burst through it, like the voice on the other end of the line could somehow step into my living room. I know what you're thinking, he said before I could slam the phone down. You think I'm lying. That I'm some jealous ex, some twisted head case. But deep down you already know. You've known for months. You're just afraid of what knowing actually means. I'm hanging up now, I said, my voice cracking halfway through the sentence. He didn't stop me. He just said one more thing before the call disconnected. She picked the nursery colors after the night we stayed in that motel off Route 9. The walls were sage green. She said it reminded her of peace. I told her peace was a lie. Click. I stood there for almost a full minute after the line went dead, phone still pressed to my ear. My mind was racing in 1,000 directions at once. What motel? What color? Why sage green? But then my brain snapped into a detail so small, so stupid, that it made the hairs on my neck stand up. When Mallory first showed me the paint samples, I asked why she chose that shade of green. She laughed and said, it's peaceful. You'll sleep better in a peaceful room. And I had. I'd actually told her that after I painted it myself over the course of 3 weekends while she went on retreats. I put the phone down and walked to the nursery. The wall stared back at me, pale and smug. I didn't cry. I didn't punch the wall. I didn't scream. I just walked to the closet, opened the drawer with the baby socks and folded bibs, and started counting. Not the items. My breaths. I made it to 17 before I stopped. On top of the folded clothes was a photograph I hadn't seen before. Not framed, just placed there, like it was meant to be found when I was too broken to react properly. It was her, Mallory, laughing, barefoot on what looked like a motel balcony. Her stomach not yet showing, but her smile, that was unmistakably maternal. She was holding hands with someone just off frame. You could see the edge of his shoulder, the curve of his tattooed bicep, and that sage green wall behind her. Same exact shade as our nursery. I took the photo, slid it into a book, and closed the drawer without another word. That was the moment I knew I couldn't fix this. I couldn't win her back. I couldn't scream her into shame. I couldn't cry her into regret. But I could build something. Something slow. Something silent. Something that would feel like peace, right before it ruined her. I've stopped drinking the coffee she makes me in the morning. It wasn't a conscious decision at first, just one of those small acts of resistance you don't even realize you're performing. Like avoiding eye contact when she speaks. Like pretending to be asleep when she slides into bed late. Like smiling when she says things like, you're going to be such a great dad. I just let it sit there now. Every morning, same mug. #OneHusband in faded blue letters. The handle's been chipped since 2019 when she dropped it during an argument about rent. I remember that argument clearly. She said I was too cautious, too careful, that I never take risks. She said she wanted more. Turns out she found it. She still uses that mug for me. Still pours 2 sugars, a splash of oat milk, the way I like it. She still sets it beside my laptop like it's 2017 again, and we're newlyweds in our overpriced shoebox apartment dreaming about a house with a backyard and a baby. The baby is on the way. The backyard has weeds now. And the woman pouring the coffee is living in someone else's story. But lately, I've noticed something. She watches me when I pick up the mug. Just for a second. Not in a sinister way. More expectant. Like she's waiting for something. A word. A reaction. A confirmation. It's subtle, but I see it. Her eyes flick to my lips as I lift the cup. Her hand freezes for half a breath before she resumes folding laundry or slicing fruit. So I've started doing something. I fake it. I take a sip, hold it in my mouth just long enough to sell the illusion, then excuse myself to the bathroom. I pour it down the sink and brush my teeth afterward. Every single day. I don't know why I do it. I don't think she's trying to poison me or anything dramatic like that. But I need this ritual now, this silent rebellion. I need to feel like I still have control over something in this house. Because truth be told, I think she knows. Not everything. Not yet. But enough. She's gotten quieter. More careful. She deletes messages now, not just hides them. The other day, I saw her tilt her phone away when I walked in the room. It buzzed, and she picked it up like it was on fire, like touching it too slow might detonate something. I've also started noticing a new scent on her clothes. Faint, unfamiliar cologne. Not the cheap teenage body spray Jonah used to wear. No, this one's more mature, deeper. Something earthy with spice. Something that lingers in the air even after she's gone. New man. Or the same man with a new scent. It doesn't matter. Not really. Because I'm done playing detective. I'm building something now. And that requires patience. I started 2 nights ago. While she was at prenatal yoga, I logged into our joint bank account and transferred $8,000 into a private checking account she doesn't know exists. She used to joke that I'm the spreadsheet king, and she's right. I know how to make things disappear. Transactions, records, names. I've been slowly moving things for weeks. Small amounts. Nothing noticeable. I stopped contributing to our shared savings plan. Sold my gaming laptop on Facebook Marketplace. Liquidated an old crypto wallet she forgot I had. Even found a way to redirect the automatic deposits from one of our passive income sources into a shell LLC. She'll never notice. Not until it's too late. I also met with a lawyer. Not one of those divorce-happy pit bulls. Someone quieter. Someone who specializes in asset protection and stealth separation. He listened without interrupting, took notes with a silver pen, and asked only one question when I was done. Do you want her to know you're leaving? Or do you want her to beg you to stay when it's already over? I didn't answer at first, but now I know. I want her to realize what she's lost when there's nothing left to salvage. And maybe, just maybe, I want him to see what kind of woman he inherited. So I smile now when I sip that fake coffee. And I wonder if she can taste the same poison in my silence. There's a gift bag under our bed that wasn't there before. I noticed it last Thursday while reaching for an old pair of slippers. The kind you only wear when the house feels colder than usual. And lately, it always feels cold, no matter the thermostat. I wasn't looking for anything, just warmth. But I found something else instead. A crumpled, glossy paper gift bag tucked against the wall, almost perfectly hidden beneath the bed frame. Just far enough back that someone had to want it to be hard to find. I froze. There was something about the way it was placed. Not forgotten. Hidden. My first instinct was to leave it. Act like I never saw it. That's how I've survived the last few months. By pretending I didn't hear the late-night whispers, or smell the cologne, or catch the tiny flinches when I reach for her hand. But I didn't leave it. I pulled it out slowly, careful not to tear the side. It was light, barely any weight at all. Inside, wrapped in pink and gold tissue paper, was a tiny onesie. White, with cursive lettering that read, "Hello, Daddy." For a split second, my breath caught. Then I saw the handwritten card tucked in the folds beneath it. It wasn't for me. There was no name on the envelope, just a small heart drawn on the flap. I opened it, slowly, deliberately. Inside was a short message, written in sharp blue ink. I've stared at it so many times now I know it by heart. I can't wait to see your eyes in our baby. You were right. She'll never know. I love you. Always. No signature. No initials. Just that. I sat there on the bedroom floor with the card open in my hands. And for the first time since this all began, I laughed. It wasn't a loud laugh, not bitter or angry, just hollow, empty, the kind of laugh that sounds like it comes from someone else's mouth. I must have looked like a ghost sitting there when Mallory walked in. She saw the bag in my lap, the card in my hands, and she froze. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She blinked too many times. All I said was, "It's a beautiful gift." She stared at me, searching my face like she didn't know what expression to wear. She finally settled on panic, dressed up as calm. "It's just a silly thing," she mumbled, walking forward too slowly, like I might shatter. "I was going to surprise you. It's just a little joke." "I didn't mean." "You didn't mean for me to find it?" I asked, carefully folding the card and sliding it back into the envelope. I placed it inside the bag and handed it to her like I was giving her back a piece of her own guilt. She didn't answer. She just took the bag with trembling fingers and mumbled something about being tired. Then she disappeared into the bathroom, door clicking shut like a coffin lid. I sat on the bed in silence, thinking about the message. The wording. You were right. She'll never know. Which she? Me? Or someone else? And that's when something else clicked. The baby monitor. The new one we bought 2 weeks ago after the old one randomly stopped working. It's not just a monitor. It connects to Wi-Fi, streams to an app, the app that's only on her phone. I checked mine. The app wasn't there, so I downloaded it. It asked for an account login. I guessed the email easily. We share everything. Or used to. I tried 3 possible passwords before the 4th one worked. A variation of Jonah's birthday. How poetic. The live stream opened. The nursery was dark, empty. Still, but there was a tab marked History. I clicked it. Motion was detected on multiple nights. At strange hours. Midnight. 1:47 a.m. 3:12 a.m. I tapped on one of the clips and waited for the video to load. There she was. Mallory. Standing in the nursery doorway in nothing but a robe, whispering. To the crib. To no one. Her hand rested on her belly, but her eyes were fixed on the empty mattress like she saw someone lying there. And then she said it, clear as glass. "Daddy's going to be so proud of you. Just not the one he thinks." I dropped the phone. That was 2 days ago. I haven't confronted her yet. I don't need to. Because last night, I placed my own gift under the bed. Wrapped neatly. Sealed tight. With a small card that simply says, "I know. And so will everyone else soon." She set the table like nothing had changed. Fork on the left, knife on the right. Napkins folded in that way she used to only do when we had guests over. She even lit a candle, vanilla, the one I hate, and placed it right in the center of the table between the salt shaker and her lies. Mallory smiled like she meant it. "You've been quiet lately," she said, smoothing the front of her dress. She was wearing something tighter than usual, something that hugged the bump in a way that begged for attention. I didn't answer right away. I watched the flame flicker between us, watched the way it distorted her face in the glass of the wine I wasn't going to drink. I nodded. "Just tired. Work's been heavy." She hummed in sympathy, like the woman who used to rub my back and listen to me rant about spreadsheets was still somewhere inside her. She reached out and touched my hand, fingers soft but unsure. She was testing the temperature of my silence, checking for cracks. That's the thing about pretending. You have to be good enough to sell it, but not so good that they feel safe. I said, "Smells great." "What is it?" She beamed. "Stuffed chicken. Your favorite." That was true, or at least it used to be. But I knew what tonight was. This wasn't just dinner. This was her attempt at resuscitation, at control, at rewiring the narrative. She thinks I'm slipping away. She's right, but not in the way she thinks. Because I didn't come to the table tonight as a husband. I came as a witness. She dished our plates with that practiced grace, placed one in front of me, sat down, and took a sip of water like it was sacrament. She made small talk about the neighbor's new dog, about her friend's baby shower, about the prenatal massage clinic she found with amazing reviews. And then she dropped it, casually. "By the way, Jonah's coming back into town next week." The food caught in my throat, but I didn't choke. I just nodded. "Really?" "Yeah," she said too quickly. "He's staying with his cousin. Apparently, he wants to make amends with people. You know, close chapters." I took a bite, chewed slowly, swallowed the bile. "That's nice. Closure's important." She paused. A flicker of something crossed her face. Regret? Guilt? Strategy? I didn't know anymore. I didn't care, because I already knew he'd never be staying with his cousin. I'd already spoken to the cousin. In fact, Jonah wasn't coming to town next week. He was already here. And 2 nights ago, I watched him from the driver's seat of my car as he walked into a bar 3 towns over, arms slung around another woman. Drunk, laughing, careless. I took photos. I recorded audio. I even watched him flirt with the bartender and brag, that some woman was raising his kid and her loser husband didn't suspect a thing. I suspect everything. And I collect receipts. So, I said, setting my fork down gently. Jonah, still playing guitar? Mallory froze. Her fingers twitched. Her lips parted, but no words came. She hadn't expected me to bring him up. Not like this. Not with that calm, disinterested tone that didn't match the storm she probably assumed would erupt. She blinked. I guess. I haven't. I think so. I smiled. I always liked his style. Shame he never played at your sister's birthday party like you promised. Her eyes sharpened. What are you getting at? I'm just remembering. That's all. Strange how memory works, right? We ate in silence after that. The air between us thick with fear, dressed up as confusion. When she cleared the plates, I slipped something under her wine glass. She didn't notice until after dessert. It was a folded photo. Jonah, arms wrapped around another woman, tongue halfway down her throat. Date stamped. Time stamped. Mallory's face drained of color. I thought you should see, I said softly, since you're both so invested in the future. She said nothing. Her hands clenched around the napkin in her lap. The clock on the wall ticked louder than usual. I'm going upstairs, I added. You can sit with it. Process. As I reached the top step, I turned back and said one more thing. Dinner for 3 doesn't work when one of us didn't order. Then I left her alone with her thoughts. And the photo that was only the beginning. I spent most of the weekend in the attic, going through old boxes Mallory forgot we owned. It's funny what survives in the parts of a house no one visits anymore. Photos, letters, vacation souvenirs, receipts from restaurants we both pretended to enjoy. All the physical proof of a life that used to feel real. I wasn't up there for nostalgia, though. I was looking for something else. Or maybe I was just trying to remember who I was before all this. There's one photo that stopped me cold. Us, for years ago, at Lake Arrowhead. She's sitting on my shoulders in the water, arms stretched out like airplane wings, laughing at something I can't remember. I'm squinting into the sun, holding her ankles like she might float away if I don't. That was the year she told me she was ready to build something together. I thought she meant a family. Now I think she meant an alibi. That night, I walked into the guest bedroom and locked the door behind me. This room, the one with the beige walls and empty dresser, it used to belong to my brother back before he moved to Portland. Now it's my sanctuary, my base, the only place in the house where her scent hasn't soaked into the pillows. There are no photographs here, no memories, just plans. I opened my laptop, pulled up the folder I've been compiling. It's titled Eventually, and inside are subfolders, labeled by date, by name, by incident. Text message screenshots, voice memos. The hotel invoice she forgot I saw in the trash. A blurry photo of Jonah's car parked outside that place she swore she'd never visit again. And then there's the spreadsheet. I've been tracking everything. The money I moved. The assets she doesn't know she doesn't own anymore. The trust fund I created in a relative's name for future education expenses. The relative doesn't exist, of course. The money is real, though. It always is. It was never about destroying her. It was about ensuring she could never destroy me again. I wrote my resignation letter that night. Sent it to my boss at 3:17 a.m. Told him I'd been offered a position out of state. Not a lie. Technically, just a temporary fiction. He replied 6 hours later with a handshake emoji and a referral promise. Then I booked a moving truck. Not a big one. Just enough for the essentials. Then I made a list. What I'm taking. My books. My mother's ring. The signed photo of me and Dad at the Dodgers game. The hard drive. The folder labeled Eventually. Everything else. She can have it. The couch she picked out. The glassware we never used. The meaningless art prints on the wall. She wanted this house more than she wanted a home. Let her keep it. The only thing I wasn't sure about was the letter. The one I'm leaving behind. I wrote it by hand. 3 pages. Not angry. Not cruel. Just honest. Brutally, surgically honest. I told her I knew. I told her how long I'd known. I told her about the photo, the app, the conversation with Jonah's cousin, the motion-activated camera in the nursery. I told her the baby will be beautiful. Just not mine. I ended the letter with one final paragraph. The only one that matters. You didn't break me. You opened a door I never would have found on my own. I wanted a child. You wanted a story. And now, you'll get to raise both alone. I folded the letter, slid it into the drawer of her vanity beneath the hair ties and perfume bottles. She won't find it right away, but she will. And when she does, I won't be here. Tomorrow, I disappear. Not in a dramatic way. No slammed doors or shouted goodbyes. Just one less toothbrush in the cup. One less chair pulled out at the table. One less husband holding the silence between apologies. And when she stands in the doorway and stares at the space where I used to sleep, she'll ask herself when it all started to fall apart. She'll never guess it was the moment she whispered his name into my sleep. But I'll remember, because I never stopped listening. The house was still asleep when I left. No dramatic goodbyes. No final stares in the mirror. I didn't even close the door behind me all the way, just let it click halfway shut, the way it used to when I'd go out to grab the mail in the early years, when we still believed in each other. The air outside was cool. Fog hung low along the street, as if the world wasn't ready to see anything clearly just yet. I rolled the 2 suitcases to the curb where the moving van waited. Everything important fit in them. Everything else, the memories, the pain, the versions of me I'd outgrown, would stay here. Mallory was still upstairs, probably curled around a pillow, dreaming of damage control. I didn't leave the letter in the drawer after all. I placed it on her pillow. She'll read it as soon as she opens her eyes. And she'll feel everything I felt, just in reverse. Realization, shame, helplessness. But I didn't write it to punish her. I wrote it to unburden myself. I'm done carrying what she dropped. The drive out of town was longer than it needed to be. I didn't take the highway. I followed the back roads, past the lake where she once kissed me in the rain, past the diner where we used to split strawberry pie at midnight, past the motel that matched the color of the nursery. I passed them all and didn't stop. There's this tiny town I'd visited once in college, a place with no streetlights, just wide open skies and quiet. I'd almost forgotten it until a week ago when I saw its name again by accident in a real estate listing. A small rental cottage had popped up, 2 bedrooms, a garden in the back, and a sunroom that faces east. I applied. Got approved the next day. I drove straight there. The landlord left the key in the mailbox. The air smelled like pine and dirt. The house was older than it looked, but solid. Safe. The floorboards creaked with honesty. There was no furniture yet, just empty rooms waiting for stories. I dropped my bags inside the door, stepped into the sunroom, and sat on the floor with my legs crossed. The morning light poured through the windows in long golden streaks, warming the hardwood. It was the first time in over a year I felt like I could breathe without flinching. I pulled out my notebook, the one I used to write in before I let life become something that happened to me, and I wrote one sentence. You are not broken, just unfinished. Then I closed the book and smiled. 2 weeks later, I'm still here. I got a job at a small local accounting firm. It pays less, but gives me back my evenings. I spend mornings walking to the bakery down the street, where the owner remembers my name and always adds 1 extra croissant to the bag. I started reading again, cooking again. I even joined a community garden. I haven't checked Mallory's social media. I haven't answered her emails. She sent 5 in the first 3 days. The subject line on the last one simply said, "Why?" I never opened it. Because some questions don't need answers. Some endings don't need explanations. Some stories, like ours, only make sense when you stop trying to rewrite the past and start authoring your own chapter. The sunroom still gets the best light. The birds gather near the windows every morning. And yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't see a man who'd been cheated on. I saw a man who chose to walk away. A man who stopped waiting to be loved right. A man who saved himself.